What's up, guys? This is Cameron Cisneros, and welcome to Empire Hours. Today's guest is Michele Roderick, and her story is going to challenge everything you think you know about what it takes to build. Michele's a top performer, 1% pharma sales leader, co-founder of Now Nation, founder of WELL Realtor Alliance, and she's been living with MS for over 25 years. And let me say that again, 25 years of managing a chronic illness while building one of the most respected brokerages in Sierra foothills, scaling agents nationwide across EXP, and leading a movement that's refining what high performance actually means in real estate. Because here's what Michele figured out when most people have it. Wellness isn't the opposite of ambition. It's the foundation of it. The real estate industry glorifies the grind, and Michele's proving that there's a better way, and she's got the results to back it up. So, if you've been feeling like you've had to choose between your health and your success, this is a conversation for you. I'm so excited. Welcome, Michele. Let's dive into it.
Oh, thank you, Cameron. That was an awesome introduction. I appreciate it. And I also appreciate your enthusiasm around what I'm trying to do and the changes I'm trying to make in our industry. So thank you.
Yeah. And we had talked about briefly, you have been living with MS for over 25 years and built top 1% career in pharma sales, and now one of the most respected brokerages in Sierra foothills while scaling those agents nationwide. Can you walk me through a moment where you realized you couldn't build the way that everyone else builds?
My goodness. So actually, I was thinking about this because we're coming up on March and it's actually 30 years that I have been living with MS. I was my first symptoms when I was 19 and I wasn't diagnosed until I was 23, which just sounds crazy. I mean, isn't that insane? And then when people know that about me, they're like, "Wow, like you just look so great." And I'm like, "Because I've been working at it very hard." So I think, when you're diagnosed with something so traumatic when you're young, you have some options that you can choose to do, right? It's all about our choices. And I made a choice from the very beginning that this was not going to lay me out. And when I and the choice was to dedicate a career in pharmaceutical sales because I was super passionate about making an impact in patients' lives. That career, I mean, I just was relentless in the pursuit of excellence, and the result was the award of the top 1% in the world. So I think, when you just put your head down and you commit to being the best at what you're serving and who you're serving, the results will just come. Yeah, it was a really great career in pharmaceutical sales, and then I moved into real estate to help my business partner build her independent brokerage in the Sierra foothills, and together we did the same thing. And so, yeah, it's been great. But in all of those industries, I'm surrounded by professionals that are just burning out, not taking care of themselves, thinking that if I work harder, I'll win more, I'll make more, I'll do more, I'll be more. And that's what I'm here to say is that you don't have to do all that to be successful.
Absolutely. And you talked about going from pharma to real estate. Like, that's a big pivot. What I'm really curious about is what identity did you have to let go to build the business around wellness while the industry glorifies that hustle culture?
So, first of all, I feel like right now I'm actually not necessarily letting go of an identity, but owning my true identity. And it's taken a little bit of time to get here. I think the work that I've done with Coach Ange, as you know, Coach Ange, I mean, she's the identity queen. She was the one that was like, "Oh my gosh, you were just committed to like doing things for other." And I'm like, "Me? Like I don't tell anybody that." So I think part of the identity that I've had to let go is that mindset of like getting up in the morning and like off the jump just doing for other people and now owning in the identity of really owning taking care of myself. And that is number one.
Yes. And it's easier said than done. I think it's one of the first things that we tend to neglect is ourselves when we're high performing. We've got a lot going on. It's like one of the first things that goes is like our routines. And if we're dysregulated, then everything else is not going to work.
And it's breaking patterns. It's breaking patterns that you've done your whole life. It's not just time management. It's like you're saying owning a new identity, which involves breaking the habits of that you've built your whole life and
Yeah.
new ones, and that takes time. I'm in that process. It
Yeah.
takes 2 to 3 years to shed an old identity. So I'm in the
Agreed.
process.
That's why I always tell people, like, if you're going to change habits, replace them with better ones, because it's a lot easier to change and, like, replace something in there than to have just quit something and then now you have this, like, gap to fill because people tend to relapse and go back to those habits if they don't replace it with something better. And one of the things that we see, and I'm sure you see it too, is that high performers tie their worth to their output. When you have a chronic illness like MS,
Mhm,
it literally limits your output.
mhm.
How do you rebuild your identity around something other than your productivity?
You've gotta sit down and identify what's important to you, and ultimately, when you live with MS, like, I wake up every day there's something called the spoon theory. I have no idea if you've ever heard of it.
I haven't, no.
Yeah, so there's this person decades ago that came up with something called the spoon theory, and people like myself, it came from just having a conversation at a restaurant with a friend, trying to explain what that she lived with a chronic illness. And she said, "You know what? Here's this isn't a spoon, but this is a pen. This is the spoon." And I wake up with a certain amount of spoons that I have to help myself throughout the day. And like one spoon might be taking a shower. One spoon might be making my cup of coffee. I'm like if I have 20 spoons for the day, I might already depleted 10 spoons by 8 o'clock.
Right.
Truly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when you're living with a chronic illness, I don't have the same amount of spoons as someone like yourself. And so I have to define my day and my output based on the amount of spoons that I have. I know this is kind of crazy. I wasn't going to answer this question this way, but it's true.
Yeah.
So, when you're looking at being successful and the grind and defining that output, I have to identify like how much do I have to give today? And of that, how much am I going to give to myself? And
Yeah.
if I can't give my clients whatever, however many spoons that day, then that's okay. That doesn't make me not that great of a realtor or my downline, like serving my client, my agents and my organization. You just have to be transparent. Say, I just can't help you today. Would you mind if I get to you tomorrow? Is that all right? That would anybody like say no?
Right. No,
Yeah. So
being cognizant about that and being able to set those boundaries. And I mean, even people with more spoons, let's say,
mhm.
still will overextend themselves anyway and answering work emails, text messages at, 10, 11 o'clock at night because they think it is dire and urgent. And then you wonder why you feel depleted. You
And
wonder
what
why you
is
feel
that all?
emotionally exhausted.
And what is that all about, by the way, that you just keep going and going and going and you just never shut it down? That there's
Right.
something deeper in that.
Has to be. And, for a lot of people, it's putting on, like, the blinders probably to, like, different surrounding things. Like, if surrounding things in my life are stressful, I tend to, like, bury my head into the work.
Mhm.
That's my way of coping with outside stress is just working more. It's like an outlet for me, and I see it in a lot of other people too, and that's something I had to learn in my career is establishing my accessibility and establishing what those boundaries are. Because otherwise, you will pour yourself empty if you're not pouring into your cup first before you pour into others.
And then, like, how nice of you to be around, Cameron. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? I mean, how genuine and calm and organic are your conversations with your partner or your parents or your siblings or the clerk at the store or the person that cuts you off on the road? Like, how well are you sleeping? How's your blood pressure? I mean, how's your diet?
Mhm.
So, when you're grinding like that, like, how pleasant is your life, really?
Yeah. Well, 100%. It's not. It's absolutely not. Yeah.
Okay. How's that working for you?
Well, a lot of times, like, it's not sustainable. And this is something I talked about in a different episode is if you glorify and idolize what you see on social media from, the people that we see, like industry leaders and whatnot, you're only seeing the highlighted moments. So when you're watching these reels and they're telling you like to just grind and no white space on the calendar
Mm,
and
eh,
on paper that sounds great, but realistically, is that something that you can manage and scale?
mm-mm. And you know what? I challenge the other idea of like, I'm interested in following the leaders that don't grind like that don't have that message. Leo Pareja heard him say or saw something he wrote that he doesn't start till 9:30, 9 or 9:30. I mean, he spends his morning with his kids, exercising, doing his thing. He's not picking up an email. Like those are the people I'm interested in following. And he's the CEO of our company.
Right. So they know what they need to prioritize. And it's really great to know that we do have those types of people to lead the forefront of saying, like, it's okay to make time for your family and it's okay to prioritize that and to prioritize yourself because that email or that call or that text could be answered at a later time. Like when you are fully ready to step into that. Like you don't have to wear yourself thin.
Hmm.
And one of the things I had saw is that you call yourself the general.
Hmm.
And that's a very powerful identity. Where did that come from? And how does someone who is fighting their own body every day step into that level of authority?
So I was raised with a father that was excuse me, Dad, a United States Marine Corps Marine. He was a lifer. So I was raised, in that environment my whole life, for good or for bad or for indifferent. It was difficult. It's a very difficult lifestyle. We moved every 2 years. I was raised with hospital corners when I'm making my bed. It was tough, difficult. So at one point in time, my business partner Courtney and her we worked in her husband's office, and he called me the general because I mean I think he just heard me like handling business, like, and it just stuck. And then when we went to EXP and I had to start my own brand, Courtney was like, "You should be the general. You should say that." And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And I do lead my life, personal and professional, just that way. I'm a doer. I'm a getter. Just that's just how I am. So I believe that that also served me with this illness off the jump. I mean, it was just this mindset of like, we're going to war. I am not going down. Like, there's nothing that is going to stop me. Sure, there were moments of like, I don't know if I can make this. I'm not going to like glorify this journey of living with a chronic illness of like, there weren't dark days. There was a dark decade in there. You know what I mean? So it's not like you have moments where you're laid out and you got to pick yourself up. There have been plenty of those, but being the general and being somebody that has significant desire to succeed and not lose the war, it's helped me. It really has allowed me the ability to just not give up.
Love that. That is awesome. And in addition to that, you built Now Nation and scaled agents across the country. When we talk about identity and pattern recognition, like what's the pattern that you see in agents who thrive in a well first model versus those who can't make that shift?
My goodness, so I have kind of a mixture of all types of agents in Now Nation, and so what's exciting about what I'm doing is I have the ability to coach and identify agents that are in that hustle that are burning out and allowing my ability to get in there and have a conversation around I'm kind of seeing a little bit of patterns where you're not quite taking care of yourself. And what I mean by that is you're working every day, you're not feeling well, you're going to the doctors. Is there a conversation that we can have around how we can free up some time so that you can take care of yourself? Because could you imagine a moment when you're in church on Sunday and you're fully present and you're feeling good and you're with your husband and he's like, "Oh my goodness, you're here. You're not there. And you're not going to the hospital because you have an infection." I mean, like, can we have a conversation around freeing up maybe 10 hours of your week? And just the ability to connect with people and have that conversation and they're like, not really, Michelle." Like it might be like 3 or 4 conversations before they're willing to actually hear me, right? But I've had a number of them listen and be like, "Thank you." And oh my gosh, I hired that VA and I've bought back 15 hours in my week and it's just changed my life. I mean, but it's think people when again going back to those habits, just grinding and grinding and grinding and not feeling like they can let go of some things. And oh my gosh, like 10, 15 hours of like, you mean I can like read a book?
Yeah.
Yes, I want you to read the book, you know? So I think I've seen agents that are willing to have the conversation and adapt. I've seen agents that aren't willing to have the conversation and are doing their thing, and that's okay. But they will. But they will.
One way or another. Agree. What do you have if you don't have your health? Like, you
Mhm.
can have all the success and all the money in the world, but if you don't have your health, if you're not prioritizing mental health, physical health,
Yeah.
spiritual health, fulfillment, like, it ain't gonna run deep. You'll be a mile wide and an inch deep. You're not gonna feel that fulfillment. And I think that is something, especially in our industry where hustle culture is so glorified. You're leading a movement that says that you could build sustainably. Like, that's what we're talking about. How do you prove to people that wellness isn't just a feel good talk, but rather a competitive advantage for
Mm.
themselves and their business?
It's actually it's a new conversation. It's kind of shocking to me. With founding Live Well Realtor Alliance, I've been having conversations over the last couple months with agents, and they are super pumped up. I mean, it's incredible. I'm thinking to myself, like, how is it 2026 and we are just now opening the dialogue around the importance of taking care of ourselves and seeing people looking at me going like, "Oh my gosh, thank you. This is what we need." And bringing resources. Okay, it's not just me. I'm bringing Coach Ange to the table and having conversations on things that you can do to shift your identity. I'm bringing somatic healers to the table to have conversations and meditations and teaching these agents to quiet the noise, just which is foreign. They're like, "What do you mean? You want me to like do a meditation?" It's like, just try it. Do you know what I mean? And just the ability to shut it down for 60 minutes is a foreign concept to some of these people, which is amazing to me. Like, wow, this is
Yeah.
great. We're teaching people to like check out and like really truly shut it down. So to answer your question, it's like super exciting because people are like, "Yes, this is what we need." And then connecting the dots of like how that is going to help them in their business
Yeah.
because there's just new habits and new things that they're like leaning into and new conversations. That excitement, all of these things are they see it. Like you can feel it in this conversation. Like
Absolutely.
it's like I'm gonna get off this podcast and go change some people's lives because I believe in the power of all of us coming together, supporting one another, not compromising our wellness.
And what do you say to agents? And this is for my own experience included, is for the longest time when I would pause or meditate or relax or shut down, I'd feel guilty. What do
Mhm.
you say to agents who maybe feel that sense of like guilt of, oh, I should be doing something, but how do you address that, shutting that part down?
Couple of things. Like I always say, like when you're in that moment of trying something different and it feels awkward and you have guilt associated with it, commit to putting the reps in and see how you might feel after doing it 3 or 4 times. Keep a journal of it. Okay. Like write it down, which also is really difficult. Like, oh my God, I don't want to write anything. I got to check emails.
Yeah.
I'm making an email that I'm not like making any money and I'm not making money. I mean, anytime we're having a conversation around something that like you don't think you should do, or I don't feel comfortable doing, or I don't see the value in it, just give it a try, right? Give it a try. Like just see how you feel. And maybe you'll feel powerful by owning your own time truly and owning yourself. You know, if it's prayer, if it's reading, if it's journaling, if it's meditating, if it's yoga, like just commit to trying something for yourself. And I 1000% know you're going to walk away going like, yeah, totally took care of myself today. And I feel great.
Yes. Consistency and repetition over everything. The more that you practice it and the more that you work that muscle, the better you're going to get at it over time, you know? And one thing, too, talking about consistency
Yeah.
makes me think of like resilience, too. What is something going through your career that you've learned? What have you learned about resilience that most people get wrong?
Ugh, this one by far, I think resilience typically equates to pushing through. I gotta push harder. I gotta like go faster. I gotta, go more. I think a lot of times people traditionally look at resilience that way. I don't know if you agree with me, but for someone like myself, I've learned that resilience truly looks like saying, I don't feel good today. I don't feel good today. I'm tired. I don't have any more to give. Like verbalizing that to your partner, to your child, to your business partner, whomever, or even being more transparent. My head's not straight today. Like it's just off. Like I don't feel good. I need, I need the afternoon. I told Courtney this the other day. I said, I need a day, that isn't being weak. That isn't being, incapable. All of that is resilience of saying, like, I am not okay, or this is what I need. You can help me, Cameron, by A, B, C, and D. Trust me, if there's a moment where I meet someone that needs Cameron, I'm going to introduce them to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what it's about. It's just saying, this is what I need. Help me. Or do you know? And to me, that is resilience.
Yes, 100%. I love every bit of that answer by far. I mean, it's so true. You need to be able to also clearly articulate what you need. And the more that you could do that, and sometimes we know our needs, we just lack the courage to state what they are.
Being vulnerable.
Yeah, 100%. If an agent came to you tomorrow and said, I'm burnt out, my health is suffering, but I can't afford to slow down, what's the first thing you would tell them?
I mean, obviously, I would respond with a profound amount of empathy, right? Which there would be one point in time when I wouldn't. I'd be like, look, bro, you got all kinds of time. Sometimes I'll still do that, depending on the person. But I think that if someone's coming to me feeling that way, I would respond with the empathy. That being said, I hear a cry for you that you are in need of slowing down. Let's take a look at your time and how you're spending, maybe like for the week, just track like how much are you on your phone? And when you say afford, I'm assuming you mean like not your business suffering, not maybe financially, right? Because all the agents that I know that are at that level, they can afford financially to go get a trainer. You can
Yeah,
go get a it's not a money thing, it's a mindset thing, right? When you come to me with that, I'm thinking it's a mindset thing, and we gotta, like, figure out where we can make a dent in your schedule, where you can commit. I went to Coach Ange with that. That was that person. I went to Coach Ange, and she's like, "What would it look like if you didn't pick up your phone until 9:30?" I'm like,
mm,
"Talking about?" And she's like, "Your business. You define when you start it. Why
yeah,
can't you start at 9:30?"
yeah,
And that's what I would say to those agents is like, this is your business. What do you mean you can't afford to? I don't know if you can see this, but like my phone is right here. All my devices, everything's in my office. None of it goes to bed with me. Okay.
really?
Really. I have an old school alarm clock next to my bed. So there's a big chunk of time when I go to bed that I can read and I can meditate. And I can tell you right now, there's a bunch of agents that aren't doing that. They're going to bed with their phone
Yeah,
and they're waking up with their phone. So, not that I would call bullshit on that, Cameron, but that it's a mindset thing and everybody has the ability to own their time. And one change in that will change your life.
if you have so many minutes in a day, you have 2,000 minutes in a day, spending time where it's most effective and scalable, and then delegating off so that I'm free to one, focus on myself, then two, pour into the heavier tasks that require my decision making, and then delegate the rest of the smaller, minute tasks that, I mean, eventually erode and eat away at your emotional, tank, like what you have for the day. Cause I would consistently get home at the end of the day feeling like was just depleted, just drained. Wasn't eating right. Would eat like once a day, just feeling depleted, and setting those boundaries for yourself and being consistent with it, and being intentional about the time that you carve out and where you're vesting it goes a long way, very long way.
Also, real quick, the other thing I would say is you can't afford not to. Because let me tell you, Cameron, like the whole sleeping well, okay? Like, I don't know, you might be snoring because you're overweight, not you, but you understand what I'm saying. You're not eating well, so you're overweight. You're snoring at night, your partner's upset with you. So now you're like, it's just, you can't afford not to look at your business at some point in time and take care of yourself. So I would literally say those two things. We're going to look at your time, truly, like look at how you're spending your time. And I have a weekly tracker where you look at the hours in a week, you take away the time that you sleep, you take away the non-negotiables first. You take away your exercise, you take away the time that you spend with your kids. And then whatever's left, guess what? That exercise alone might shock you because if you take all those hours away, You might have 25 hours left, truly. So let's go through that exercise and then let's have a conversation around what's going to happen if you don't make this a priority.
Yes, that's great. And for someone who hasn't learned or wants to get plugged into Well Alliance, can you give like an elevator rundown of like who Well is, how, and if someone wants to get plugged into it today, how can they get plugged into Well Alliance
Okay.
and
So
get connected with you?
what's so exciting about the WELL Alliance is that we are creating a community of real estate agents that are committed to supporting one another and building thriving businesses while making wellness a priority. That's pillar number one. Number two, educating our clients with wise, educated, and healthy home ownership and smart real estate investments. Okay. Because we know there's some people out there that don't do that. And then number three, giving back to our community through wellness focused service and impact. Like, how exciting is that? Come on. There's nothing out there that's bringing this group of like minded real estate agents together. So we're building it. Really excited about that. Currently, we are looking at building locally here in Fresno to get the board of directors up and running. I've opened up applications. I think I have 6 at this point in time, which is super exciting. And then we're going to be looking at what the membership looks like because I'm literally getting agents from other states that are wanting to get involved. So I'm like, oh, hold on. Hold on.
Yep.
It's coming. It's coming. So at some point we'll offer like a hybrid model and because some of these events that we're doing, like we're doing one on February 20th with Coach Ange from 12:30 to 1:30 Pacific Standard Time. That's going to be a Zoom event. So this will be a hybrid model at some point, but right now we're just trying to get the board of directors established so that, obviously I can have some help. But it's really exciting. The vision is to obviously go nationwide with this thing. I have a meeting with the owner and publisher of Real Producers in Central Valley next week because she's interested in doing a live event in the end of summer. So many exciting things are happening. And ultimately, I'm just incredibly grateful for the opportunity to talk about this with you, Cameron, and have an impact on our industry, but also our clients and our community. It's much bigger than just us and our businesses. This is meant to have an impact on our consumers and our communities as well.
And if someone wants to find you on social media today, how can they find you?
Ask the general.
Ask the general. I love it.
It's super easy. Yeah, so just reach out to me on Ask the General IG, Facebook, and we'll get you plugged in.
Thank you so much. And for someone who is looking to transform their life today, 2026, this is their year. What is one parting advice you would leave with them today to
It's
lean into
all
that?
is 1000% all about your mindset. And I know that that is relatively simple, but it's so not. You've got to have the mindset that like you're going to connect with every part of your life. Your muscles when you're working out, your food when you're eating, your words and your connection when you're speaking with your people. It is all in your mind. And so if you're looking to make a change and you need help in shifting your mindset, you've got to get a coach. You've got to find somebody to help you. You cannot do this alone. You can't. And if you think that you can, you're going to remain doing what you've done and get the same results. So
Yes.
another thing Coach Ange told me is what got you here is not what's going to get you there. So if you truly are interested in making a change and elevating your business in 2026, you've got to change your mindset. And if you can't do it yourself, hit me up and I'll find the people that can help you do it.
I love it. Michelle, thank you again so much for dropping your incredible value. Thank you for your leadership and just being an industry disruptor. I've learned so much just getting to know you, and then in this episode, really loved getting to hear more about your story and uncovering your identity, impact, and resilience, and just your journey. So thank you again for everything, guys. Stay tuned. Connect with Michelle if you have been inspired by her story, and we can't wait to see you soon. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, Cameron.